Welcome to my channel, where the scariest stories come to life. Before we dive into today's chilling tale, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss a story. Now, let's get into the horror. At my college, Halloween is the social event of the year. As soon as the leaves start to change, the campus comes alive. Art students gather in the quad to design and assemble homemade costumes. Sororities hold pumpkin carving competitions, and fraternities compete to throw the wildest, freakiest parties imaginable. 2 years ago, Kappa Alpha hired costume actors to hide in closets and behind shower curtains at their party to give people jump scares. But they lost the informal competition to one of the medical fraternities, who had stolen a real John Doe cadaver from the autopsy lab and put it in their bathtub full of ice and drinks. They got in a lot of trouble for that one. Everyone was always trying to outdo each other. I guess it's no surprise that Halloween here has a dark side as well. Those jump scare actors hiding in the Kappa Alpha house? They weren't all actors. One was a guy who came off the street, slipped on a costume, and tried to drag a girl from the party into the abandoned basement. Some of the guys fought him off, but he was never caught. Oh, and the corpse at that medical fraternity party? The morning after, they found someone had bitten pieces off of it. Last year, my buddy Matt was in charge of organizing our frat's Halloween party. He's a buff, blonde, handsome guy with a good sense of humor. So, one of us jokingly suggested his costume should be Ken from the Barbie franchise. He went with it and even started walking around campus in costume the week before Halloween to drum up interest in our party. I noticed, though, that he started looking worn and haggard. When I asked him what was wrong, he said, "You wouldn't even believe me if I told you." As it turned out, he didn't have to. A few nights later, as we were unloading crates of fake spider webs to decorate the frat house, I saw her for the first time. The woman was dressed in all pink, with freakishly exaggerated makeup and big blonde hair. She was moving like a doll as she approached us on the sidewalk. "Matt, the woman stopped beneath a streetlight, staring at Matt. But when I got him to turn around, the bulb flickered, and she was gone. The next day, I saw her again, or someone just like her, walking through the hallway between classes. Her proportions were all wrong, like a Barbie doll had become human. Her wrists and ankles were too thin, and her chest and hips were too big. I felt sick thinking of how someone could mutilate their body to look like that. She wore a perfect plastic smile, and as she passed by, she ran her freakishly long pink fingernail through Matt's hair. "See you at the party, Ken baby," she whispered. Before I could say anything, she disappeared into the crowd. Matt shuddered. "That is the wrong Barbie. I see her everywhere." The other day, while I was in the bathroom, someone came in wearing hot pink heels. She stood outside the stall door whispering, "Ken baby, don't you want to come out and play?" By the time I got up, she was gone. Matt thought it might be a sorority prank, but I wasn't so sure. The Barbie I saw looked too old to be in college. I wasn't surprised to see her at the party. She floated through the crowd in hot pink heels, carrying 2 drinks, one for her and one for Matt. Her face seemed frozen in a permanent, surgically altered smile. She whispered to Matt in a cutesy but creepy baby voice, calling him Ken all night. Nobody knew who she was. I asked around, but no one could identify her. I wanted Matt to kick her out, but when I found him, Barbie was sitting on his lap, and he had a boozy, contented smile on his face. Later, I found Matt in the bathroom, puking up hot pink liquid. "Bitch," he snarled. "She put something in my drink. She's out of here." I followed him back into the crowd, but soon I realized Matt was missing. I ran outside and saw Barbie dragging him toward a white van. I screamed, and a group of guys came running. She pulled out a syringe filled with some strange substance. Which one of you Ken boys wants to find out what's in the needle? She hissed in that creepy baby voice. We backed off, giving Matt enough time to break free. Barbie jumped into the van and sped off. I managed to catch the license plate number before the van disappeared into the night. We took Matt to the hospital, where he puked up more of that acidic pink stuff. The police traced the van to an abandoned house in a rundown suburb. In the basement, they found two young men who matched Matt's age, body type, and hair color. Their corpses were dressed in matching Ken costumes. Barbie had been performing amateur plastic surgery on their faces and bodies, trying to make them perfect, like her. Without anesthesia, they had bled to death. If we hadn't stopped her, the same thing would have happened to Matt. What scares me most is that Barbie is still out there, cruising through Halloween nights, looking for her next Ken. I am a female, 17 years old, very petite, weighing about 100 pounds, and standing at 5 feet 3 inches. I recently joined my local gym around January 2019 and started a routine of working out every day except Monday, usually around 6 p.m., staying for about an hour or two depending on the day and how I felt. Anyone who goes to the gym regularly notices others around them and gets familiar with what times and machines are available. If a new person comes, you usually notice them. You get used to these people in the gym with you, whether or not you communicate. As a girl who goes to the gym, from my experience, you will get the occasional glance from a weirdo or make awkward eye contact with someone staring at you in the mirror. But all you can do is stare back at them dead in the eyes and give them the nastiest look of disgust. The time I go to the gym is when everyone usually starts to leave. I am very antisocial and shy, so this worked out great for me, or so I thought. Having some alone time seemed excellent. And if something were to happen, they had cameras everywhere. I know this is a stupid way to think, but knowing you needed a keycard to get into the gym and one to get out was comforting, along with the cameras. For the past month of my workouts, I got this weird vibe from this random guy we will call Randy. As I said, you usually get people looking at you, so it's hard to tell if someone is genuinely a significant threat or just being a creep. Both are bad, but it's difficult to distinguish between them. I told my mom about Randy because my gut feeling told me something was wrong, and I needed advice. She suggested telling the manager to have him kicked out. Being naive and friendly, I didn't want to kick a guy out just for giving me the creeps. It wasn't a good argument at the time. I started to notice some of the other girls weren't coming as regularly as before. I brushed it off, thinking they had work or were out of town. It wasn't my business, but it was something to note. The staff at the gym leaves around 6:30 p.m., and I noticed that Randy would come in almost precisely when the manager and staff left. I didn't pay much attention because he could have been a regular person working out at a specific time due to his job or life circumstances. This was a mistake. I rationalized that since I constantly saw Randy, he was just another regular. But this is where the story begins. One day, the manager, Alyssa, came up to talk to me about other girls who worked out at the same time as me. They complained about Randy secretly recording them while they worked out. The girls changed their workout schedules because of him, which explained why I saw fewer of them. Alyssa asked if I had seen any men holding their phones to their chest and walking with the camera pointed outward. I said no. Then I mentioned Randy, who had been creeping me out. She said she would look into it and update me, especially since I'm underage. The next day, Alyssa told me one of the girls had pointed out Randy on the cameras. Alyssa planned to wait for Randy to return to kick him out and trespass him if he came back. That night, I left, not knowing what had happened because Alyssa was still waiting. When I returned the following Tuesday, Alyssa told me everything. She said Randy and his buddy, Kyle, came to the gym and parked outside. Alyssa had a friend who was a sheriff. He ran Randy's license plate and discovered Randy was a registered sex offender on probation. Alyssa also learned that Randy didn't even have a keycard and wasn't a member of the gym. His friend Kyle was letting him in. They would wait for the staff to leave and do creepy things. Alyssa banned both men from the gym. It's terrifying to remember how often I was alone in the gym with those two. They blended in so well that I considered them just average workout people. I'm still unsure if Randy or Kyle recorded me, but Alyssa promised to check the footage and update me. It's scary to think I got accustomed to them being regulars. I'm so thankful Alyssa kept me informed. This experience shows you should always be aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts. Never get too comfortable with people you see daily without truly knowing them. Please be careful at all times. You never know who might be out there to hurt you. This happened in 2013 or 2014, during my junior year of high school. I was visiting my girlfriend and her family in Washington, in the Centralia area. We drove up to the BLM roads to do some grilling and shooting. It was spring break, so it was a very gray and rainy time. While the adults were setting up the grills, my girlfriend and I got into an ATV and went back on the road we came in to do some exploring. We went around a sharp curve in the road, and the wind and rain suddenly stopped. The sky went from gray to gold, and there was a clearing that stretched from the side of the road to the woods roughly 200 feet away. The light in the sky wasn't coming from where the sun should have been at the time. The space between the trees was much darker than it had been before. We both could tell something wasn't quite right and felt definitely off. I took off my helmet so I could hear better, and there was a sort of whistling sound coming from a very specific spot in the trees. I couldn't see much of anything, but I knew something could see me, and I could feel that it wasn't happy we were there. We turned around and got out of there as fast as we could. It was kind of like the scene from Princess Mononoke where you see the forest spirit for the first time, except very angry. The cherry on top of all this is that we had been gone for about 30 minutes when we got back, but according to my girlfriend's family, we had been gone for 3 hours. I know there's something strange in the woods, but I don't know what it was, and it's been burned into my brain for a decade. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.